Most people think their problems come from other people. They're wrong. Your real enemy is invisible. It speaks through your emotions, controls your reactions, and quietly decides the future of your life without you ever noticing. Stop for a moment, because what I'm about to say may be uncomfortable to hear. Most people are not destroying their lives with big mistakes. They are destroying them with small reactions. One look, one message, one comment, one moment of anger, one emotional decision made too fast, and slowly, without realizing it, they give away their peace, their relationships, their image, their future. Welcome to Glaze English. Today is not a normal video. This is not the kind of video where someone gives you 5 tips, makes you feel good for 10 minutes, and then disappears while nothing in your life actually changes. This is not entertainment. This is not background noise. What we are talking about today is the difference between a peaceful life and a painful one. The difference between inner freedom and emotional slavery. The difference between being in control of your life and being controlled by the world. We live in a time where everyone wants something from you, your attention, your emotion, your reaction. People provoke you. They ignore you to make you feel small. They disrespect you to feel powerful. They lie, judge, and manipulate just to see if they can move you. And most of the time, they can. They say one sentence and your mood changes. They send one message and your chest becomes heavy. They post one thing and your peace disappears. You don't even notice what's happening. But something very serious is happening. Every time you react without awareness, you are handing your power to someone else. You are letting the outside world reach inside your mind and decide how you feel, how you speak, how you act. And over time, those reactions don't just pass, they build. They become broken friendships, lost respect, regretful words, moments you replay in your head at night, wishing you had stayed silent, wishing you had paused, wishing you had been stronger. The painful truth is this: most people don't suffer because life is hard. They suffer because they never learned how to hold life without collapsing emotionally. They think strength is reacting. They think power is proving. They think control is shouting. But real power is much quieter than that. Real power is the ability to feel deeply without being controlled, to face disrespect without losing dignity, to stand in emotional fire without burning your future. If you truly understand what this video is about, something will shift inside you. You won't just handle things better. You will begin to live from a different place, a place of calm, a place of clarity, a place of inner authority. Not because the world becomes softer, but because you become unshakable. And before we go any further, if you feel this message already touching something real inside you, I invite you to subscribe to Glaze English. Your support helps this channel continue creating deep, meaningful videos that don't just teach English, but also strengthen the mind and the inner life. This channel is for people who don't want noise. They want growth. They want mastery. They want something real. This video is not just about speaking better English. It is about thinking better, living better, becoming stronger from the inside out. So slow down, breathe, and stay with me, because what you are about to learn is not information. It is a way out. If part 1 was about seeing the invisible prison, this part is about understanding how it was built. Most people believe they react because something just happened. Someone spoke. Something went wrong. A line was crossed. So they raise their voice. They send the message. They defend themselves. They explode. And it feels justified. But the truth most people never face is this. When you react without awareness, you are not expressing strength. You are proving that something outside of you is in control. Every uncontrolled reaction is a transfer of power. If a stranger can steal your peace, then your peace does not belong to you. If a comment can decide your mood, then your mood is not free. If silence can make you anxious, then silence owns you. Think about how serious that really is. It means your inner world is being operated by your outer world. And when that happens, you don't live your life. You respond to it. People often say, "I reacted because they deserved it." But the moment you react emotionally, the other person already won. Not because they were right, but because they reached inside you and moved something. Real power is not the ability to hurt back. Real power is the ability to remain self-directed. There was a young man who worked for years to build a reputation. He came early. He stayed late. He kept his word. He let his work speak. One afternoon, in front of his entire team, his manager criticized him harshly. The words were exaggerated. Some were not even true. The room became uncomfortable. Eyes turned. The moment was heavy. And something inside him rose fast. Heat, pride, old frustration. Before thought arrived, his voice did. He defended himself emotionally. He argued. He let the fire speak. The meeting ended quietly, but something invisible had ended too. From that day on, he was no longer the dependable one. He became the emotional one. Not because of what he did every day, but because of what he did once. Years of consistency were outweighed by seconds of reaction. This is what emotional slavery looks like. Not chaos, not madness. Just one moment where you are no longer choosing. And this is where life becomes painful. Because reactions don't disappear after they leave your mouth. They stay. They stay in people's memory. They stay in relationships. They stay in how you are seen. They stay in how you see yourself. Most reactions eventually become regrets. There are words people would pay anything to take back. Messages they wish had never been sent. Moments they wish they had breathed through instead of breaking through. We don't usually carry the insult. We carry our answer to it. There was a woman who loved her younger sister deeply. They shared secrets. They trusted each other. They were close. During a family gathering, her sister made a sarcastic comment about something sensitive, something old, something painful. Without thinking, the woman reacted. Her voice rose. Her words sharpened. Years of buried emotion spoke at once. The room went silent. Her sister left. Days passed. Weeks passed. The space stayed. The relationship never fully returned. Years later, the woman said something simple and devastating. "I don't cry because of what she said. I cry because of what I said." That is what fast reactions do. They give you seconds of release and years of wait. So what separates strong people from broken ones? Not the absence of emotion, but the presence of space. Strong people build a moment between feeling and expression. They pause, and that pause is not weakness. It is command. When you pause, the nervous system slows, the mind re-enters. The fire is still there, but it is no longer alone. And in that space, choice becomes possible. You can still speak. You can still confront. You can still set boundaries. But now, your words carry clarity instead of poison. Your actions carry direction instead of damage. There is a sentence that quietly changes lives when it becomes real. This emotion is real, but this reaction is a choice. You don't deny what you feel. You don't shame it. You don't suppress it. You simply stop letting it drive. You let the feeling exist, and you remain the one who decides. This is not about becoming silent in every situation. It is about becoming sovereign in every situation. Because the person who can pause when the inside is loud is no longer easy to control. They don't hand their peace to a stranger. They don't hand their future to a moment. They don't let one sentence design the rest of their day. They begin to live from inside out. And that single shift changes everything. When you create space between what you feel and what you do, something powerful begins to change. Not just in your reactions, but in the kind of presence you carry into the world. Because once you stop reacting to everything, you start to see something most people miss. The world is loud, and loudness is not power. We are surrounded by noise, opinions, arguments, explanations, justifications, endless voices trying to be seen, heard, validated, and proven right. Most people believe the loudest person is the strongest one, the one who talks the most, the one who fights back, the one who always has something to say. But in real life, the deepest power rarely announces itself. It settles. Silence is not empty. Silence is controlled. When you don't rush to defend yourself, people don't know where to place you. When you don't rush to explain, people don't know what story to tell about you. When you don't rush to react, people don't know how to move you. And that uncertainty changes the entire dynamic. There was a man whose former friend decided to destroy his reputation online. Stories were posted. Messages were twisted. Private moments were displayed out of context. People expected a war, a response, a live video, a long explanation. But he did nothing. Days passed, then weeks. Some people called him weak. Others assumed guilt. But he remained silent. 6 months later, the truth surfaced without him speaking a word. The inconsistencies were exposed. The lies collapsed under their own weight. And something interesting happened. His silence, once seen as weakness, was now seen as dignity. His restraint, once judged as fear, was now understood as strength. While others were burning energy, he was building his life. Silence didn't make him invisible, it made him unshakable. And this connects to something even deeper. Not everything deserves your energy. Your attention is not harmless. Your emotional investment is not free. Every day you wake up with a limited amount of life force. Where you spend it quietly determines who you become. Most people never choose where their energy goes. It leaks into arguments that change nothing, into people who grow nothing, into thoughts that build nothing. They give their best inner fuel to the smallest outer fires. And then they wonder why they feel empty, why they feel tired, why they feel disconnected from their goals. There was a college student who was disciplined, focused, and hopeful about her future. Then a rumor spread. People whispered. Some turned away. She felt humiliated, angry, confused. Instead of stepping back, she stepped in. She wrote long messages. She tried to correct every version of the story. She watched every look, every comment, every shift in behavior. Slowly, her nights filled with stress. Her days filled with distraction. Her studies suffered. Her dreams blurred. Years later, she said something that revealed the real loss. I didn't lose my direction because of what they said. I lost it because I stayed there. Energy is direction. Where you place your emotional attention, your life begins to move. This is why strong people are not those who win every argument. They are the ones who protect what grows them. They understand that some battles are designed not to defeat you, but to occupy you. And occupation is a form of control. When you spend your emotional strength on what drains you, you don't have it for what could elevate you. This is why calmness is not passive. Calmness is selective. It chooses which voices deserve entry. Which situations deserve engagement? Which people deserve access? And calm people begin to change rooms without speaking. When tension rises, they don't rise with it. When voices sharpen, they soften. When chaos spreads, they stay centered. And that center becomes noticeable. Because in a world addicted to reaction, presence becomes authority. You don't need to respond to every invitation to chaos. You don't need to explain yourself to every misunderstanding. You don't need to step into every emotional current. Sometimes, the most powerful movement you can make is stillness. And sometimes, the most powerful sentence you can say is nothing at all. Because the moment you stop spending your energy on what pulls you down, you begin to have enough to build what can lift you up. And that is when strength stops being something you show and starts becoming something you carry. And when you stop wasting your energy on noise, something even more important becomes visible. The reactions you once thought were natural are actually trained. Most people believe they react because of what just happened. A word was spoken. A boundary was crossed. A situation became uncomfortable. So emotion rises and action follows. But if you watch carefully, you begin to see something else. The reaction often arrives before the present moment has even fully entered you. It is fast, automatic, familiar. That speed is not personality. It is programming. Reactions are habits built over time. They are emotional reflexes shaped by memory, experience, and unhealed moments. This is why two people can face the same situation and respond in completely different ways. One becomes explosive, another becomes still. One feels attacked, another feels curious. One loses control, another keeps direction. What looks like strength or weakness on the surface is often history speaking underneath. If you were ignored, silence may feel like rejection. If you were embarrassed, criticism may feel like danger. If you were abandoned, distance may feel like loss. So when something small happens today, something old wakes up inside you. You are not only reacting to the moment, you are protecting a memory. And until that is seen, reactions will feel personal, justified, and uncontrollable. This is why emotional mastery is not about controlling life. It is about understanding yourself. There was once an older man sitting on a crowded train. Late in the evening, a younger man entered the carriage, drunk, angry, and loud. He pushed people as he walked. He shouted without direction. The entire space tightened. Some passengers stared. Some whispered. Some prepared themselves emotionally for conflict. The drunk man finally stopped in front of the older man and raised his voice. Everyone waited. The older man looked at him calmly and said, "Whatever happened to you today, I'm sorry it brought you this far." The carriage fell quiet. The young man's shoulders dropped. His eyes filled. He sat down and began to cry. The tension dissolved. What happened in that moment was not emotional suppression. It was emotional intelligence. The older man did not meet force with force. He did not meet pain with pride. He saw what most people miss. This was not about him. Calm people understand this. They know that not every storm outside belongs inside. And because they don't personalize everything, they don't become owned by everything. This is what turns reaction into response. Reaction is fast, emotional, and unconscious. Response is slow, aware, and chosen. Reaction comes from the nervous system. Response comes from the whole self. And response is a skill. It can be trained. The training does not begin in major crises. It begins in small moments. A delayed message, a wrong order, a critical tone, a minor inconvenience. These are not interruptions to your growth. They are your practice. Every time irritation appears, you are being invited to rewire something. Every time emotion rises, you are being offered awareness. The process is simple, but it is not easy. First, pause. Not to escape the feeling, but to stay present with it. Second, feel. Notice where it lives in the body, the chest, the jaw, the stomach, the shoulders. This brings the emotion out of the story and into sensation, and sensation can be held. Third, ask one quiet question. Is this about now, or is this about something old? You will be surprised how often the answer is, not today. Fourth, choose. Not what releases the emotion, but what directs it. This is where power lives, not in denying anger, but in deciding where it is allowed to move, not in escaping fear, but in choosing who speaks for you. Your breath becomes a tool. Slow breathing sends a signal of safety to the nervous system. Safety restores clarity. Clarity restores choice. Your body becomes the doorway to mastery. When the body slows, the mind follows. This is why calmness is not a personality trait. It is a practiced state. You build it when nothing important is at risk, so that when something is, you already know where to stand. Most people wait for emotional emergencies to discover who they are. Strong people discover who they are in small, ordinary moments. They build a relationship with their inner world. They learn its patterns, its triggers, its old languages. And slowly, something changes. The emotion still comes, but it no longer drives. The feeling still rises, but it no longer commands. You stop living from the wound and begin living from awareness. And that is when mastery begins to replace habit. Not because life becomes easier, but because you stop being automatic. And the moment you are no longer automatic, you are no longer predictable to chaos. You become someone who moves from clarity instead of memory. And that shift quietly changes the entire direction of a life. And when awareness replaces habit, something even more subtle begins to reveal itself. Behind most reactions, behind most struggles for control, behind most emotional battles, there is ego. Ego is not confidence. Ego is the hunger to protect an image. It is the inner voice that says, "They shouldn't treat me like this. They need to know who I am. I must prove my side. I can't let this go." Ego does not want peace. Ego wants position. It wants to be right. It wants to be seen. It wants to be validated, admired, respected. And the moment that image feels threatened, ego panics. When ego panics, it reacts. Not to heal, not to understand, but to defend a story about who you are. This is why people argue even when there is nothing to gain. This is why they explain even when no one is listening. This is why they fight battles that cost them their energy, their relationships, and their future. Because ego would rather be right and empty than silent and free. There was a man who gave years of his life to a company, his time, his loyalty, his health. One day, without warning, he was replaced. No gratitude, no explanation, no closure. His ego burned. It told him he had been disrespected, used, erased. He wanted revenge, public exposure, a moment where everyone would finally see what had been done to him. Before acting, he went to see his grandmother. She had lived through war, loss, and betrayal. Yet her eyes were calm. He told her everything. She listened quietly, then said one sentence. "You don't heal by proving others wrong. You heal by proving to yourself that their actions will not control your future." That night, something inside him loosened. He did not fight. He did not attack. He did not explain. He walked away. And he built, quietly, patiently, without needing to be seen. Years later, his life spoke for him, not through words, but through peace. Ego always wants the moment. Your deeper self wants the direction. Ego wants to win today. Your deeper self wants to be free tomorrow. And you cannot have both. To let go of ego does not mean becoming weak. It means becoming unreachable. It means you no longer need to correct every misunderstanding. You no longer need to enter every argument. You no longer need to protect an image that was never the real you. You begin to understand something powerful. Your worth is not a discussion. Your peace is not a performance. Your strength is not measured by how loudly you react, but by how quietly you remain. When ego softens, something beautiful happens. You stop chasing validation. You stop bleeding energy. You stop letting noise design your inner world. And for the first time, you feel light. Not because life has no weight, but because you are no longer carrying what was never yours. So remember this. You are not your reactions. You are the awareness that can witness them. You are not the storm. You are the space it moves through. And from this moment forward, may you choose calm over chaos, clarity over impulse, freedom over ego. Because the less you need to react, the more power quietly returns to you. And the more ego you release, the more peace you make room for. And peace, when it is real, does not shout. It lives. Everything you have heard in this video leads to one quiet truth. Your life is not shaped only by what happens to you. It is shaped, day after day, by how you meet what happens. Two people can walk through the same storm. One becomes bitter. The other becomes wiser. The difference is not the storm. The difference is the inner posture. When you live in reaction, your life is always outside of you. Your mood depends on people. Your peace depends on situations. Your confidence depends on approval. You are always adjusting, always defending, always recovering. But when you learn to pause, to feel without exploding, to observe without collapsing, something fundamental changes. Your life comes back inside. You stop being a place where the world leaves its marks, and you start becoming a place where the world passes through. Calm does not mean nothing touches you. It means nothing owns you. Silence does not mean weakness. It means you no longer need to explain your worth. Awareness does not remove pain. It removes confusion. And letting go of ego does not make you smaller. It releases the weight that was keeping you small. The deepest lesson in all of this is simple, but not easy. You do not need to control the world to live in peace. You need to learn how to live inside yourself. Because when your inner world becomes stable, the outer world loses its power to destabilize you. So what does this mean for your life today? It means that every emotional moment is now a training moment. The delayed reply, the sharp tone, the misunderstanding, the criticism, the disappointment. Instead of asking, "How do I release this feeling?" you begin asking, "How do I hold this feeling without letting it decide for me?" You practice pausing before speaking. You practice breathing when tension appears. You practice watching the emotion before becoming it. You stop trying to win every moment and start protecting the direction of your life. You choose which conversations deserve your energy, which opinions deserve your attention, which battles deserve your presence. And slowly, without force, without performance, without noise, you begin to notice something rare. Your reactions soften. Your choices sharpen. Your presence deepens. You become harder to disturb, not because you are closed, but because you are grounded. This is how peace is built. Not in perfect conditions, but in imperfect moments handled with awareness. And now I would love to hear from you. What is one situation in your life right now where you want to respond with more calm instead of reaction? Please share your answer in the comments so we can all learn from each other's reflections. And if this video spoke to you, if you feel this channel is helping you grow not only in English, but in inner strength, I invite you to subscribe to Glaze English. Your support allows this channel to continue creating deeper, more meaningful content for the mind and the inner life. Thank you for being here, and thank you for choosing growth.